Hey, sister cousins, welcome to my channel. I'm Lady C, and I'm here to tell you how I feel. Like and subscribe if you're new, and run it up in the comments. Let me know you stopped by. Now, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to talk about Paradise, Season 1, Episode 1.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Today's episode is titled Wildcat Is Down, so let's get into it, girl. Now, this is a new episode. Someone suggested for me to watch, so bear with me. I know that everybody is ahead of me right now, but I'm gonna catch up, trust me, all right? So we open up today's scene to a guy waking up to a very empty bed. I'm not sure if he has a wife or if his wife is at work, but he's waking up and he's pretty OCD. Everything is pretty neat and in place. He has instructions for his kids, what to do, when to do it, and all of those details. So he goes on a morning run. And before I get to the morning run, girl, I was like, are there really people out there that wear the same exact outfit every single day, and that's how it's hung up in their closet? No outfits, no jogger outfits, no other little, casual wear to go out on a nice little hot date, nothing. So he goes on a morning jog and he ends at his job, which is the home of the president. And so, girl, he has a little banter with a gentleman named Billy. They talk about him leaving a little early and letting somebody named Jane take his place because, girl, he got to go see a dog about a cat, girl. So he finishes his little conversation with him, and then he heads right back home. And as soon as he runs into the house, girl, his kids are up and about. I guess he was a few minutes late because of his little side convo. His daughter ends up making breakfast for the son. And so they have their little back and forth. She's like, listen, girl, I'm having a debate later on. Please do not miss it. He was like, girl, I will not miss it. So they have a really cute banter back and forth between him and the kids. And he asks his son, hey, what are you reading? And he says, I'm reading James and the Giant Peach. And at that moment, he gets kind of triggered. And I'm assuming that it's something sentimental, but of course we won't know until later on. They asked what was wrong, and he was like, oh, nothing. How was the book? And so he explains the little book, and he tells them a little bit about it. And so the kids head off to school. He goes into work. Jane is there. He's like, girl, listen, I know you're one of the newer agents, but girl, you don't have to do everything somebody else tell you to do. You can't say no, all right? So he walks inside of the house. Two gentlemen are standing there. We're going to call them Tweedledee and Tweedledum, right? And so he's asking if the president is up and about. They said no. He's like, well, that's a little late. That's kind of odd. And so they're like, well, I don't know. Like, they asked if they could be relieved. And so he goes on ahead and relieves them. And he goes upstairs and knocks on the door. And he keeps knocking and he's not hearing any answers. So he finally walks in. Girl, the president is gone to glory, girl. He has kicked the bucket. Dead as a doorknob, girl. And I'm like, Then he starts to go into these flashbacks between the past and the present. So I'm going to talk a lot in past and present terms. Girl, bear with me, girl, okay? This is new for me, all right? So we flash back to his initial interview as head of security or head agent. He's supposed to be the one that's over all of the details. You could just tell that the president is a really laid back guy. He really doesn't take himself too serious. Of course, he's the president, but he really wants the agent, which we learn his name is Xavier. He really wants Xavier to kind of loosen up, but of course Xavier remains professional and he answers all his questions. He offers Xavier a drink, and of course Xavier declines. The president was like, nah, I'm just kidding. I was just testing you. And girl, he wasn't testing him. Girl, you could tell that he really wanted to have a little drink with him. He wanted to know what kind of temperament he had. I'm gathering that the president is really chill and he just wants to know that his detail is going to be, somebody good to have around. Somebody that's not as old and uptight. He wanted a very intelligent person, and that's who he ended up with. So he ends up flashing back to the present. He's measuring the room. He's looking around the bedroom, just trying to put together exactly what's happening. And I'm thinking, like, I guess he wants to get this information before everybody kind of bombards the place. All of the things that happens when a president goes to glory, right? And so he's looking for clues. He saw a cigarette butt. He saw his cup of liquor that he took a drink out of. I think he saw 2 wine glasses. He goes into the bathroom or the closet. There was like a safe box that was open. He saw that and it was empty. And so he's just trying to put all the clues together. He also requests for a very quiet lockdown. He doesn't want to alarm anyone just yet because, again, he wants to take in as much information before he calls it in. He also doesn't want to raise suspicion because at this point, it looks like
a scheme. It's hard set up for him to come to you with the bush.
So Jane takes the order, does a quiet lockdown, and of course Jane wants to know what's happening. Girl, we flash back into the past again. We're in his first week as his agent, and the president's just kind of asking like, how's it going? And they're having a little discussion, and it seems like the president is kind of in a down mood, and he's talking about his wife, and his wife didn't vote for him. He asks about his kids. No, he asked if he was married with a wife and kids, and he was like, yeah, girl, I have a wife and kids. And somehow the conversation took a little bit of a turn, and the president was already in a crappy mood, and so, girl, the conversation ended up getting cut short. And so then we go right back into the present. He calls Billy to tell him, girl, tell that dog about a cat that you gotta go. And so Billy knew what time it was. And so, girl, he goes downstairs to review some video footage of what was going on. He told the gentleman, like, yeah, this is a quiet shutdown, but I want you to comb through last night's recordings to see if you see anything suspicious or off or whatnot, right? He realizes that he is the last person to see the president. And he also saw a lady being brought into the house, and he slowed it down, and it's some black lady. But then, it was another lady that was there, and she kind of has this like real like staunch, not so happy look on her face. And he kind of remember in his memory seeing them having like a little bit of a heated discussion. He was like kind of alerted, but the dude was like, nah, you good. You ain't got to get your panties all in a bunch. Like, I'm good. And so he went on ahead and went back to his post. But he's remembering all of the things from the day before or the night before or whatever. Then we cut back over to the president doing an interview in the yard. There was an attempt on the president's life, and so he ended up saving him. He didn't even realize that he had been shot. But girl, the president was like, nah, I'm good, but you're not good. You've been hit. He ends up waking up in a hospital. The president is right there by his side. So he told the president that as soon as he's all healed up, that he's going to go ahead and report right back to work. And the president was like, nah, like take a few more weeks off, just, relax and recover. And so he was like, listen, I know it's a little cliche to thank you. And he was like, well, girl, it was my job, so I guess that's cliche too. He told him that he had some important information to share with him when he got back. And he was like, all right, I'll see you when I get back. And so we leave it at that. But then we go right back. Now Billy is here, and Xavier is giving him instructions on exactly what to do before they call everything in. So now Billy is doing his investigation. Xavier is conducting his investigation. Jane's kind of left in the dark. She's like, what is going on? But nobody's saying anything. So Billy goes outside, and he notices that there's an area in the grass that's kind of disheveled, where it looks like somebody might have hopped off the balcony and onto the ground and left an impact in that little area. And so as he's putting that together, we have the two gentlemen from earlier. They're asking about the lockdown. He tells them, listen, I don't know what's going on. I'm just as in the dark as y'all are, right? And so they go on about their business, and then he goes on about his business. So now we're with the security detail, and girl, come to find out, Billy done took a goddamn nap. I'm like, girl, what is wrong with you? Girl, you took a nap while you are guarding the president, girl. Like, how irresponsible can you be? So now we gonna call him goddamn Billy, okay? Because what the hell? But the security detail explains that from 10:42 p.m. to 12:13 a.m., the cameras were completely offline. And at 12:14 a.m., Billy wakes up literally 1 minute after the security cameras went offline, right? And so then the security detail showed up about an hour later. Everything is kind of coming together. Xavier is just trying to put all the pieces together to this puzzle because it's just so much happening. So much has gone wrong that night. Oh, but what they did mention is that the only people that would notice that the cameras were offline are people that are more experienced. So someone that is a little bit more green wouldn't even notice all of these details. And guess who's the greenest person on the team? It's Jane. In walks Jane, and Jane is like, okay, listen, the jig is up. What in the absolute is going on? Like, y'all need to tell me something. And so Billy's like, nah, baby, like, just chill, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, girl, y'all or what? Girl, they're definitely okay? And so Xavier finally gives her the command to call it in a code red.
It's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
And so Jane follows protocol, calls in the code red, and now it's about to go down, okay? Girl, if you are enjoying this content, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And girl, leave a few comments. Let's talk about this TV show, okay? All right, now let's get back into it. So now the wife pulls up and she's all frantic and in a panic because they're not letting her in the crib. And then the weird lady from earlier that was having a little heated discussion pulls up. Everybody's kind of lined up waiting for the next thing to happen. She walks in the door, takes control of the situation. When I say she, I mean a weird lady. The president's dad walks in. He doesn't know where his son is. The weird lady escorts him away to talk to him. So two gentlemen approach Xavier asking him to have a conversation on the record just to put all the details together. So I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but girl, when he was reviewing the tapes, I said there was some lady that came in. She had on like this little spicy dress and it looked like they were having like a little rendezvous with the president, I'm saying. And that was caught on the video footage earlier in the evening yesterday or the night before. As he's being interviewed, girl, in walks in this shadowy figure, and it's the same lady. She's also an agent. She got the nerve to ask him about their last interaction. And I'm like, I know you lying. Are you serious? So since she asked about the night before, remember, he is the last person that saw him before he was supposed to go to bed, right? So she asked him about what their last interaction is because he stood in the doorway for a little bit and you could tell that they had a conversation because he turned around, but then I guess the president said something to him and then he turned right back around, said some words, and then went on about his way. So we flash back to that very moment. The president is in a really good mood. He's singing and whistling and humming and all of the things. And so, girl, he pours a drink, offers him another time, like, hey, have a drink with me. You can tell that there's a little bit of tension between them two. And I'm just kind of confused because I'm like, wait, up until now, I didn't know that it was any issues. Comes to find out that, girl, when he got back from off duty, they released some information to him that was like top secret, right? It was like the highest level of clearance to know this information. And it was all about some project that they had going on in Colorado. So now we're right back to the situation with the president, and he's asking him like, will you ever forgive me? And so that's when he turned around and he was like, so you asked if I will forgive you. And the thing is, we took a great deal trying to choose names for our children. My wife selected the name James because of the book James and the Giant Peach. She read it daily to our son while he was in the womb. The author was going to give the book a different name. Instead of Peach, it was going to be Cherry. And so he wondered if his wife would ever choose to name their son James if the book was titled James and the Giant Cherry. And he was like,
I guess we'll never know.
So I'm like, okay, did she die? And so the president tried to interject, but girl, Xavier ain't want to hear it, girl. He was like, don't. He said, I'll forgive you when I can sleep again, and I won't be able to sleep again until you have gone to glory. And I was like, damn, that is diabolical, okay? For that to be the last words you say to a man that end up pushing daisies the next day, I was not going to hold you. Like, I wasn't feeling the show at least halfway through. I'm not going to hold you, okay? But once that kicked in, I was like, now we cooking, girl. The pot was cold for quite some time. I was really not feeling like I wanted to be invested in the show. But girl, now I'm locked in, honey. So after that huge mic drop moment, girl, he is getting undressed. He comes out of his jacket and I guess he was dismissed. I'm not gonna say dismissed completely, but I mean, I'm assuming that the meeting was over with, and so he takes his suit jacket off and then he goes for a jog, because remember, I guess he doesn't live very far from his home. And so as he's jogging in his suit and dress shoes, girl, he's passing all these different people that are out and about, because earlier when he was taking a run, nobody was outside. It was real early in the morning. As he's passing by, we noticed that all of these people have these like gadgets around their wrists. They're using these gadgets to get into stuff, to pay for things and everything else. Then we noticed that there's like fake mechanical ducks in the pond. Some weird looking like, what's the name of that show that Jim Carrey played on, where he was like being watched from like, you know what I'm saying, girl. So girl, he stops and the sign behind him says that Dawn will be delayed 2 hours. And I was like, Dawn will be delayed 2 hours. As we're looking at the sign, we call back to the moment where they were talking about the top secret information. And girl, they were like, this is a big project happening in Colorado under the mountains. We are building a city. There's a catastrophic thing coming and it's going to be awful. And so girl, we are left with our mouths hanging open, because as the scene is closing up, we now see that they are literally underground, and like above them is like a whole bunch of people working on top of whatever structure that they built for this city underground. And it is crazy. And I'm just like, okay, girl. So thank you, friend, for suggesting this show. I love it. And I cannot wait to review some more. So I guess y'all are about to be on episode 8 or whatnot. Girl, I am going to try my hardest to catch up, girl, okay? Because I want to be able to talk about it too, girl, because now I'm excited, okay? So anyway, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell if you are really about that life, and leave me some comments, girl. Talk to me about this show, girl. I am so mad that I've been living up under a rock, girl, okay? And that rock is Severance, because I like that show. But anyway, I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.